Welcome to Legend Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things anime, sports, and video game related. Man, I'm your host, Mr. Legendary, and this is my co-host, Hayes. What's up, bro?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on the show.
Man. First of all, those of you, or for you that's in here, man, y'all have seen me trying to attempt this before. We had a good time, but things are taking a little turn. But we got somebody new here, man. First of all, I want people to know a little bit about yourself. Just tell me a little bit about yourself, man.
Uh, let's see. Where do I start? I mean, I'm 22 and young, fucking living life, man. Gaming wise, I play a lot of FPS games. I love racing, Formula One. Anime wise, I've seen tons of anime. I love anime. Yeah, I mean, if I ever have kids, I'm not gonna let them watch cartoons. They gotta watch anime. Like it's so much better.
You say you're not gonna let them watch cartoons, so they not watching
Well,
no
I mean, yeah.
SpongeBob, no nothing like that. It's straight anime in this household.
Listen, I mean, they can watch whatever they want to watch, but I'm definitely gonna push anime because just better. The storylines are better, more inclusive, a little bit more relatable. But yeah,
So as a future parent, wait, future, future.
yeah. Wait. Future.
let's say your kid is like, you know what, Dad, I don't like anime. This is lame. I want to go and watch me some Real Housewives of Atlanta. That's the only thing I want to watch. That's my new favorite show. I love Nene Leaks and all of that. Is
Listen,
that
uh, it might be hard because I'm just gonna tell them straight up. I'm gonna be like, I mean, that is reality TV, so not everything in that
realistic?
may be realistic,
Yeah.
but I mean, if you enjoy watching it, you can watch it. I'm gonna be over here watching my shit.
And one thing that I have seen lately, or at least I've seen on Twitter, first of all, you already know how Twitter get. People blow things out of proportion, or things are very exaggerated on Twitter. Well, on social media in
True,
general,
true.
but especially Twitter.
Twitter's
But
like a war zone.
oh yeah, for sure. But I saw something earlier this week that I was like, I thought it was weird. So I was in one of the comment sections, right? And somebody had addressed somebody else that was in the comment section, and they were like, "Oh, you're 30, whatever, you're still watching anime." And I was like, "Why is it that people put like a age limit on certain things like that? Like, how do you feel about that? About people like saying that you can't do, especially pertaining to anime? How do you feel about people saying too old for anime or cartoons, video games, this, that, and the other?
I think the majority of people that say that usually haven't watched much anime or really haven't watched it enough to understand the depth that it can go into. I mean, personally, I think, you know, there's always something you can learn from it. Like, obviously you have the action sequences and all the different genres and everything, but in its core, it usually has a pretty solid story that, most people can relate to. So I don't know. It's kind of like a bitter taste, I guess, because you would assume that the shows that that person would watch would probably be more realistic, maybe crime shows,
Yeah.
or just realistic Netflix shows in general. But even those, like sometimes those can be a little shallow. So I guess I don't know.
Like, cause I I feel like a lot of like misconceptions and stuff about anime and video games. I feel like they both go hand in hand, but especially pertaining to anime, I feel like a lot of things can like cloud somebody's judgment on anime specifically, especially
True,
like on social media. Like, cause you'll see a clip or something like that taken out of context where it might
true.
be something wild, like something outrageous, and they're like, "See, y'all watching this weird anime stuff." Like,
Yeah, it's
Like
just 30 seconds of the episode, but like you don't know the context. Maybe that's just how the character is. It can be anything.
exactly, and I like and experiencing something like that firsthand. Like I was watching Food Wars, right? I don't know if everybody's heard of Food Wars or
Yeah.
whatever, but I was watching Food Wars, right? The very first season, first episode, and
Yes, I
this
know
girl was
exactly what
going
you're talking about.
crazy for eating like pasta or something like that, and I was trying to like I've been trying to get like on my sister and my mom about like watching anime. I'm like, y'all always watch these reality TV shows and cooking shows. Try something new, and they're like, bet. So they go to watch Food Wars, and this girl eats some pasta or whatever, and she going crazy. And the first thing my mom says is like, she says, "Why is that girl crying?" And in my head, I'm like, "Is she not crying?
She's
Like,
acting like
she she's not crying." And I feel like it's tough trying to put somebody in that kind of niche, like especially at this age, because like when you're younger you're more
Right.
open to different like forms of media and stuff, but as an adult seeing something like that as an adult, especially if you're like somebody's like parent, it's weird going from watching your standard television to watching something like Attack on Titan or Death Note or something like that.
Yeah, it's totally different. And then also you have the it's totally different voice acting than like traditional cartoons because it's way more animated. Like even the fights, like you think of Dragon Ball Z, Goku, you know, going insane, yelling. Like in a traditional cartoon, that wouldn't really be a thing. So I guess you know, it's like it's totally different.
And with you, I'd like to ask, like, for someone who may be in your circle, in your own personal circle or whatever, how would you go about finding an anime that might appeal to them? Like, let's say they're into action and stuff, but they don't want to see something like something like Attack on Titan, right? Like that's like, yeah, it falls under the category of action, but the premise of something like that might be overbearing to somebody who's like never experienced anime or something like that. So how do you go about introducing people who haven't watched anime into that world?
Usually I try to find out what regular shows that they watch, and um, I mean, obviously, it helps if you yourself have seen like a good variety of anime, so you have a good pool or a good selection to pull from. So, like, you know, for example, if you have somebody that likes watching like Hallmark or like romantic type of stuff, then you know, there's romantic animes out there. So then I would probably before suggesting one that I hadn't watched, I'd probably maybe watch a couple episodes of it just to see if I think they would like it, and then I would probably suggest it to them.
And with you, I know you said you watch a lot of anime. Obviously, I know who you are, but just for the people who are watching or maybe listen to it later on, what kinds of genres do you find yourself watching? Are you a person that's like open to watching anything? Do you stick to a certain genre, or what's your deal when it comes to anime? Or do you just dive into it, whatever piques your interest at the time you watch it?
I definitely started with obviously, you know, most people I feel like a lot of people can say they've started with Naruto. Naruto was their big thing.
Mhm. It was for me.
Um yeah, so after I think after I finished Shippuden, I was like, okay, I feel like I've watched enough of an anime to try different genres. And I mean, I can really get into anything really. I just appreciate, you know, the craft or, you know, just the effort of what they're trying to get into. But definitely, I mean, you can't go wrong with some shonen, some action. Um, obviously, you know, the comedy. I love adventure stories
Yeah.
where, you know, you have multiple characters and, you know, they have their own separate character arcs that isn't like really summed up in one single episode. I mean, anime is really great. There's so much you can really get from it. But yeah, I mean, you can't, there's so many good like action animes that are out right now. I mean, and that would definitely be my go-to for now.
I feel that. And do you think you take the same approach in terms of video games, or do you think you like it's pretty set in stone what kinds of games, or do you typically like adventure into?
In the past, I was definitely more of like a COD kid. I grew up. I remember when I was like in the like elementary, middle school, like Halo was out. Like, you go over to your friend's house, you go on. If you're not, running through the campaign with your homie, you're sitting in Forge. You create your own map and then you fight on it. So that's definitely where I came from. I definitely started off playing a lot of like FPS type games. Obviously racing too. Love like Midnight Club, OG. But as I've gotten older, I've definitely tried to like branch out because like when I was a kid, like I heard about like World of Warcraft, but I had like no idea like MMOs or anything of that nature.
Yeah,
So I started. I didn't. I didn't start playing my first MMO until like college.
honestly,
So
I'm right there. I feel you. I started
yeah,
well with me. I started a little bit sooner. Like I was like back when we were in high school, but
yeah.
in terms of MMOs, like I've definitely branched out since then. But I don't know. Me personally, I've tried to expand my horizons because I don't know. Call of Duty to me, I think it's still fun, and like new Halos coming out and all that, it's cool. But I think as I've gotten older, I've tried to look for like something new, something now like really piqued my interest. Because I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a blueprint, and if it works, if it works, well, sorry, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. When
Right.
it comes to FPSs, but I've definitely tried to expand my horizons. Facet.
Yeah. What MMO did you start with?
Um, wow. Actually, you know what? I had experienced WoW for the first time when I was younger, like OG WoW, when I was about I want to say like 7, but I didn't own it. It was only like it was my cousin who owned it, and I only played it whenever I was able to go over to her house. So that was the only time I like really had any experience with it. But my first like full dive into an MMO was Neverwinter, which is a newer MMO. Like it's not new, but it's newer. I know it's on Steam and Xbox. It might be on PlayStation, but I started with that. But since then, I have played that. I'm looking forward to New World, that game that's being made by Amazon. A lot of people were playing it like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that one
And
looks really
man,
nice.
yeah, like all the top streamers or whatever, they were went to play it, and it looks dope. It looks really good. This might be the first time I'm like really excited to like get into MMO. Other ones like I played and I liked, but I feel like that's a game that I actually want to like build a clan with, spend like hours and stuff on with. Like it looks solid.
That's really what's up. Yeah, I started with Final Fantasy 14, which I was really nice. And then after that, I think I tried like Guild Wars 2 and WoW finally.
I've been wanting to play Final Fantasy. Like a lot of people have been hopping on that train past few months. I don't know why. I think honestly, I think the reason
Because of
it's
the Blizzard whole situation.
yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly it is because that whole thing about and actually that's one of the points I wanted to hit too. From what I saw, I wasn't able to read the entire thing. Like I've only have like bits and pieces of it, but I understand they had like these workplace toxicity allegations and stuff going around in Blizzard, and I know people. This isn't the first time that this has popped off with Blizzard. Past couple of years, I know a couple of years ago. I don't know if it was under Overwatch or if it was under somebody else, but they had reported from Blizzard that they had like toxic like environments and stuff there, and one of the I don't know if it was a voice actor or uh a level designer or whatnot from Overwatch team, but she had
Hmm.
actually committed suicide if I'm not mistaken because of the
Oh,
allegations and
I'm
stuff. So
so
I'm
sorry.
like, that's super serious.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember like I follow some creators on Twitter I know when it first came out, a lot of people were saying like they had worked for Blizzard and it was just like a frat house type of environment. I mean, you don't really want that environment, especially for a business. Like that's
especially
really
somebody that's like, Blizzard. You don't like. I'm not gonna say you don't expect somebody of Blizzard status to do that because who knows? Like half of these companies probably have a whole lot of stuff that's like swept under the rug that's like pretty much being kept from the public. But
right.
you, especially in terms of Blizzard, they've been like on this like downhill like spiral for some years now, and finally seeing WoW specifically, that's WoW's been around for forever, almost as long as I've been alive, just about.
Yeah.
I'm 24 right now, and I think WoW's been around for like 20 something years or close to it. And now you're seeing a fan base like that like die down because of not being professional, which makes sense because Overwatch was popping for a good bit, for a good like 2 or 3 years, and
Yeah.
it's it's down. They even said today that they are gonna change the name of McCree.
McCree, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because he was named after one of the developers or whatever that worked with them, and people were like, "That's what is that gonna change? What is you changing the name of a character that?" And I guarantee you, people are like are still gonna call it, like when the next Overwatch drops. I think it's supposed to drop next year.
Hmm.
I think like people are still gonna call him McCree. They're not gonna call him Cowboy Woody or whatever kind of name they're gonna give him.
Right.
They're most likely still gonna call him McCree.
Yeah,
So,
I guess he's so familiar as McCree, so it's like people are just gonna default think of that when they see him.
and I think like I mean, it's like, yeah, okay, you can change like you can change his name. They can do whatever they want to the character, but it's like, what? How does that? How do you fix that kind of situation? Like that doesn't fix the situation and stuff that you're in.
Yeah, definitely not. What was the what was the whole reason they were?
But for the reason that they were changing it,
Right.
they were changing it because the guy who they named him after, like there was a person
Oh, is he involved in the
yeah.
lawsuit? Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they like I think he said well they said there was like he was like one of three or one of however many people who was actually working there, and they're like, all right, we're gonna change his name and we're gonna change the name of some of the maps and stuff as well. And I'm like, what what like I don't understand like how like I understand why they did it, but I
Right,
don't
but like you
know
can't. It's like they're like trying to. I don't know, like maybe wipe it away as if it wasn't there, but like people are still gonna remember all of that. So,
exactly. They and people are still gonna call the maps by their name, the person by their name. It's like
but then again, if they, it's kind of like a double-edged sword if you think about it, because if they didn't do it, then people would surely notice it and then call it out. So like maybe it's, I think it's just a lose-lose.
I
'Cause
agree with that.
they're gonna have to do it regardless. So
Like me, I honestly like when the game had first came out, like I just called him McCree, like just like everybody else. Like I honestly didn't know who he was named after. Like that's not even like the voice like the actual guy who voice acts as him, like is like that's not named after him, obviously. But
right,
I'm not thinking like when I think about McCree and somebody says Overwatch, the last thing I'm thinking about is the developer. I didn't even know that was named after a developer until after like until these like allegations and stuff came out. I thought that was I honest to God thought that was just what his like what they decided to name him. So I'm not saying like I do agree with you that it is a double edged sword because somebody would have called it out eventually, but at the same time,
yeah, I had no idea.
like it's like at the same time like they change his name like I feel like it's like such an insignificant change instead of like coming out and saying all right we're gonna do this and this to prevent something like this ever happening again. I feel like they're
They're
like
coming out with
undermining
something in the game, right?
like they're
Like
like
you,
undermining the whole thing.
right, like you would expect them to come out and talk, like address the whole workplace situation first. Be like, okay, these are the changes that we're making to, on the corporate side, and then whatever they plan for that, and then they come out with, oh, okay, so this has a like prevalent impact in the game, so then we're also going to be making these changes in the game, but I don't know. Have they come out with like a plan of action, I guess?
As of right now, I don't even know if they have started like you
The
know how
whole
companies do like those like
like
oh
go
we're
to
gonna go
court.
yeah like well workplace training and stuff like that because I think Starbucks had did the same
Right.
thing some years ago. They're like oh we're gonna go through sensitivity training and all this other stuff. I don't even know if they even came out with that yet. The latest thing that I saw from them is saying that they were changing McCree. Aside from that, I don't
Yeah.
know if I know they're in currently like in a lawsuit with the people involved. But in terms of like
Yeah, but you don't know
changing
like how long that's going to take when they're actually going to go to court and all
exactly,
that.
and I don't even know if they have started doing anything in the company. Like I like none of us work out in the company at all. So
Right.
what happens in those four walls is what goes on with them. But if it's any indication of what's already been going on, I'm pretty sure they're like not in a rush to do anything, especially since this is coming on the heels of Overwatch 2 about to be dropped, Diablo 4 is about to be dropped.
Right. It
Whatever,
seems like they're just trying
yeah,
to do, I guess, like damage control.
pretty much. Like they're like
Yeah.
glossing over the situation and just like throwing all these these games out. Even I think the new I think Vanguard, Call of Duty Vanguard is being published or developed. I don't remember. It's not being developed by them. I think it's being published. Blizzard has their hand in the game. They're gonna see like games not take off as well as they like. Yeah, they're gonna be making money, but it's gonna be a lot less than what they're already making, especially from WoW. That's their main like source of income for the most part. Aside from like
Yeah.
the esports for Overwatch and stuff, but
Yes, I know in order to get COD on PC, you have to go through Battle.net, and I know that's associated with Blizzard. But actually, have you seen like the new I was on Twitch earlier today and I saw like a couple people streaming some Vanguard gameplay for like 15 minutes or so.
the only thing I saw was actually on Twitter. I haven't watched any streams today, although I really wanted. But I did see some Vanguard gameplay of people going to like a payload, and people were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this looks just like Modern Warfare and Black Ops 4," and I was like, "It's because it's running on the same engine." Like, what? I don't
Yeah,
know
I mean
what.
it's made by the same developers, so yeah, like of course it's gonna, have some resemblance
Like, what?
to the other games.
That's why I was laughing when people were like, "Oh, Black Ops 4 is not nearly as good as Modern Warfare." I was like, "Bro, this game run about the same." That
They're
like,
yeah, they're
like
just talking about the sales.
honest to God, and yeah, I'm a real talk. I'm probably gonna get Call of Duty because, like you said, I grew up with Call of Duty and Halo. Those were the two reasons why I originally got a Xbox growing up. Were Halo, Call of Duty, Gears of War. So pretty much
Yeah.
every year I bought Call of Duty. However, I will say I after everything that's going on right now and seeing the decline of Overwatch specifically, especially for me who was playing it like religiously, I am probably not gonna get Overwatch 2 unless unless there's a
Yeah,
reason
me
for me to
neither.
get it because
I mean, I played the first Overwatch and I played it way after the hype. Like I played Overwatch for the first time maybe like a couple months ago with some friends. I think it was on sale and we were trying to try a different game and none of us had played Overwatch, or I think one of us had played Overwatch. So, I mean, it's okay as a game in my opinion. I mean, it's like the same game mode over and over. It would be different maybe if they had different game modes, but it kind of just seemed like the same thing.
I think
So I,
that's what they're. I know they're gonna have like your typical comp layout, but I
right.
think they're adding like 3 or 4 new games. But not they're gonna update it throughout the year. But I think honestly, in heat of the allegations and stuff, I think that's one of the reasons why Jeff Kaplan left. The dude who was like the who was giving out the announcements like every month or whatever, talking about an update. He was like the head of the Overwatch team, of the development team or whatever. And
Yeah,
he had stepped down. He was already with Blizzard for like years or whatever prior. But
right.
I think people, well, he says they went out on equal terms or whatever. Like he wanted to do this because he wanted to go to different companies, experience things, this, that, and other, bop, bop, bop. But I think in my opinion, I think he left because he knew, like he saw like what Blizzard was like starting to turn outside of, or like inside of like their little space, the stuff that we couldn't see. I think he already knew and saw what was going on.
Yeah, I imagine that was definitely his aim, especially with everything coming out. He's like, I mean, I don't want to be associated with a company that acts this way.
Because even before this stuff had came out, he had left like 4 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. And then all the allegations and stuff came out this past like a month and a half or something like that. So he had got out of there quick.
Yeah, definitely. With swiftness.
They're really gonna take a they start changing stuff. But with Blizzard on the back iron, how are you feeling about Battlefield? A lot of people were excited that it's going to like the modern aesthetic or whatnot, how it was like Battlefield 4 and stuff like that. Have you ever been a fan of the game, or is it just like
Oh yes. I didn't start. I think I started with Battlefield 3, and I eventually touched the previous ones. But yeah, I loved it. It was great. I'm super excited for it. I like how they're like bringing back like the aspects of the previous ones. I feel like that's something. I feel like COD should do that too. Like that'd be really cool if they came out with a COD that I guess they kind of did that a little bit with Cold War with bringing back the old maps and stuff. But if they came out with a totally fresh new game with aspects of the previous one, that'd be really cool. But yeah, I'm super excited for Battlefield. I'm definitely gonna cop that.
and this is actually going to be the first time in a while that like people I don't call it this, but a lot of people like online call it this. They're saying it's the holy trinity of Call of Duty, Halo, and Battlefield. It's all going to be coming out this year. Call of Duty's coming
Yeah.
out in November. Uh, Battlefield's coming out in October, and Halo's coming out December 8th. So I'm happy seeing this back and live again, especially for Halo, because the past two Halo games, Halo 5 and Halo 4 to me are trash. But
Yeah.
it's good
No.
seeing that they're coming back like rejuvenated, especially Battlefield. Like I liked Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, the whole World War 1 aesthetic. It was cool. But I'm not
Yes.
trying to fire no muskets, bro. I'm not trying to just take 10 years to reload a gun or nothing like that. I like seeing these drones fly around. I want to hop out of a plane and rock. I want to do all of that. It's dope. It's dope.
And then they show the community love by putting that guy he jumped out of the plane and rocketed the
Yeah,
other they put that in the trailer. Like I know like
that was
that's
dog.
really cool how
I was
showing
at
love to the
work.
community like that.
I was at work when I saw that trailer, and I was smiling I was smiling from ear to ear because that's something that like people grew up on. What they want to see. It's fun to like have like fresh ideas and stuff with games, but if you keep your core, like the core of your game, the reason why people fell in love with your game in the first place, then I think I think the game's gonna be solid.
Oh yeah, out of the three, if I had to bet, I feel like Halo's gonna do good as they have. Weren't they making like multiplayer free or something like that for
Yeah,
Halo?
they already got the multiplayer. You can already install like have it pre-installed on PC and Xbox. The multiplayer is gonna be free. Yep.
Yeah, so I imagine you're basically paying for the base game and the story mode. But yeah, I think out of the three, Call of Duty, going back to what was it, World War I or World War II?
I think it's gonna be World War II.
Yeah. Did you play the newer Call of Duty? I think it was World War II. Can't
Yeah,
remember.
World War II. It came out like what?
Yeah.
I think it was
uh,
like two Call of Duties ago. No, three.
Yeah,
It was three Call of Duties
before.
ago. Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah. I actually played it. A lot of people like downplay with World War II. I actually thought it was solid.
Yeah, me too. That game was between the modern ones like Infinite Warfare, that one, and I guess you could include Modern Warfare. That was probably I probably like that one the most. It
I did
felt
too.
most like a Call of Duty, like a traditional. But yeah, out of the three, I think I want to say Battlefield's gonna do the best. Halo would be my next. Halo's gonna be close for sure, unless they flop or something like that. But I don't think, especially with them delaying it, like they're trying to get it right. So
Yeah, because
I
real
think
talk,
those
it
are
was
gonna
supposed to
rule.
release like next
Yeah,
month or something like that, and people saw the
yeah,
screenshots.
yeah. Hopefully, it won't be a cyberpunk disaster. But even I know people still play cyberpunk to this day.
Honestly, I don't even think Cyberpunk was. See, okay, I'm gonna try not to go on no rant, but I feel like people the reason that Cyberpunk came out the way that it did was because people were trying to rush them to put it out. And the reason I say that
I
is
agree.
like the game was already in development for like 10 plus years, 10 or 15 years, something like that. And they keep asking for it and they asking for it. And then they saw that they kept pushing back the date. That should be an indicator that they're trying to get everything right with the game. If you sit there and try
Exactly.
and rush them and say, "Yo, we want this game. You guys have been developing it too long," and then they finally cave in and they're like, "All right, here you go." Don't be surprised that the game is the way that it is. Like, it's the reason that they
Right.
were in development for that long. Even though,
I,
yes, that's a company, they should hold themselves to a certain standard and don't fold under pressure. I feel like it that junk goes both ways.
yeah, definitely. I think it was a combination of the community pushing for it to get out, but also like the hype that the marketing team did because they hyped that game up so much. Like it was gonna be the next Fortnite, basically.
Oh yeah, like, and honestly, that's one thing I can say about their marketing team. They marketed that game very good, very
Very
good.
good.
Like, it's like, even I was interested in it. Like, I didn't buy it because supposedly it was gonna come to Game Pass on Xbox down the road.
Right.
But once it came out and people were asking for refunds and stuff for the game, I was like, "Oh, like
You're like, no way.
this is bad." Like, even on PC, they were having the team behind it was CD Project Red for giving out refunds and stuff to the people because they're like, "This game is not at all. Like, I'm glitching through the map. People aren't loading. Missions aren't loading. Guns ain't working. Like, there's a whole laundry list of stuff that's wrong with the game." And yeah, that does fall on them for pushing out a poor product. But it's like, bruh, if it took them this long to make this game, bruh, there was a reason behind it. They knew it was not. They knew it wasn't up to par with how they were portraying it.
Yeah, my theory is the devs didn't want to release it, but the marketing team wanted to. So they just hyped it and really pushed for it. They came out, and then eventually the devs were just like, I mean, whatever, I guess people were gonna see. Or maybe they didn't even know. Maybe it was just like a bunch of underlying issues that they hadn't, like quality assurance, like tested yet
Yeah,
and went through it. Maybe they just hadn't gotten to that stage. But yeah, that's
real talk. I feel like if they didn't push it the way they did, they could have saved that game like they did with No Man's Sky, because that's another game that was like super hyped up and it came out and it was bad. But the way they fixed No Man's Sky is actually amazing. Like, I'm low key probably gonna play it right now because they shortly after the game it came out, they had gone back and fixed all the problems that was wrong with it. They have completely did a 360 with that game. That game right now is literally a whole different game than when it first came out. They completely refurbished the game entirely. Like it's fun to play. This, that, and other. Like I have people in my friends list who play No Man's Sky, and I asked them, I'm like, yo, is the game like actually fun now or whatnot? They're like, yeah, this is what the game should have been when it first came out, if not better than what it would have been. So I feel like CD Projekt Red, like after releasing Cyberpunk, they should have made an attempt to make the game as good as possible they had before people started asking for.
Oh yeah, No Man's Sky is like the open world survival exploration like space type game, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, it looks really clean.
When it first came out, like because they made this whole big deal about, oh, it's technically multiplayer, but it's not. Like the universe is so big that two people won't be able to bump into each other in the world. This, that, and the other. I was like, yo, that's crazy. That means like outer space is like freaking huge. If all these people can play and you won't come across another player in like 48 hours after the game had released, two different people on either side of this gigantic map just drove straight and they met each other in the center and they're like, what what happened? Y'all
What
said
is
that we
this?
wouldn't be able to see each other. I can see this man clear as day. And they were like, oh yeah, you can see people, but you just won't be able to interact with them. But they had changed that whole game around. Like you can party up with people, you can explore with people, go out, kill stuff, collect stuff, this, that, and the other. Like it's really good.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm looking at some gameplay of it. Yeah, it looks really clean.
Like granted, the hype and stuff behind it is falling down now because the game came out a few years ago. It
Right.
I guarantee you, if you were to go on Twitch right now and go to No Man's Sky and CD Project Red for Cyberpunk, it might have more viewers than Cyberpunk. Honestly,
Yeah, honestly, it might. The
it
only
might.
people I've seen I've seen like a couple of people play Cyberpunk and they just really did it like for the story and they just got off of it after that. So I don't think anybody's still
Oh, sorry. You know
religiously
what?
plays it, but
You know what? I take it back. Sorry, they're barely beating No Man's Sky with like 100 viewers,
yeah.
and that's like that goes to show you though. Like No Man's Sky came out like 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. Cyberpunk came out this year.
Yeah, that is true. It's really holding its weight. Are there gonna be any more updates for Cyberpunk?
I have
Are
no
they
idea.
planning to do anything else with the game?
I think they said the only thing they were gonna do with the game is that they were going to add multiplayer, kind of like a not Call of Duty, a GTA kind of deal. But
Yeah, right, right, right.
but right now, I honestly don't even know if that's actually come true. Or not. Just because there's probably not that many people playing the game to really care.
Right. Yeah, that was like one of the major pulls with the game is like how immersive and how like unique the multiplayer was going to be, especially with all of the apparent different endings you could get, all of the alternate endings in the story mode or something like that.
Big deal about the factions. I Man, I don't know. Like I think the same way I saw people act over Cyberpunk is the same way I saw people act over something like Game of Thrones. Like I don't know, it was very surreal. Like I was a person like on the outside looking in. I was watching two groups of people like praise a product or something that they liked, and then I watched firsthand like it just all go downhill. Like I've never watched Game of Thrones. I may have watched one episode, but I remember there was a point in time that people were hyping it up, this, that, and the other, and then the finale comes, and they're like, "Bro, this is trash." I feel like it
This
was
is trash.
I feel like it was the same thing for Cyberpunk. They were like, "Oh man, this game's gonna be great. It's gonna be better than GTA. We're gonna do all this stuff." And then it comes out, and they're like, "What is this game? What did you give us?"
Yeah, that was like the main reason I've never even seen The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones is because like I mean just the hype. I mean I think at the time I was watching something else, but I just couldn't. People were so hyped up about it. Like you'd go to school and everybody's talking about the latest
Mm.
episode. So it's like it's not like you can miss it and then rewatch because it's just gonna get spoiled. But yeah, just the endings I've heard have just been trash. So it's like it. Some people are like, "Oh, it just ruined the whole show." Like they did all this build up just to end it like this or whatever. So
You think that same thing have you been well, you know what? Yeah. Have you felt the same way in terms of like anime as well? Like anime would get overhyped to where you don't want to watch it. Has that ever happened to you, or you've been in an instance where that's happened where like you'll see an anime or your friends or whoever talking about a certain show or sorry, a certain anime, and you're just like, I'm not gonna watch it because y'all are probably overhyping it and blown out of proportion.
yeah, I think that definitely happens with something, especially with like how religious people are with certain anime. Like I heard so many mixed reviews about like Boruto, for example, about how it was gonna be. And I guess to an extent, some points are right on both sides. But I mean, let's see, was there?
I feel like it's like I don't want to say I'll hop on a bandwagon. Well, I don't even want to call it a bandwagon, but sometimes I will hop onto a hype for a show that I may not have heard of, or for a show that I'm already watching. This and the other. The latest practice of that was with Attack on Titan, the last season. Like people were like
Yeah, yeah,
super duper hype about it, and I agree. Like I thought the last season was dope. I think the show was dope, but I will also agree that people tend to overhype things because they're happy about it or they've already have a pre-consumed like perception of it, you know,
right, right,
like because you got one side saying, oh my gosh, this is the best anime of all time, and then you got the other side who, especially people who like read the manga or something like that, you got them on
right.
this side saying, oh my gosh, I don't know why y'all acting like this, the ending's trash, this
They
that and the
messed
other.
this up. They messed this up. It shouldn't be like this. It's like,
Yes,
dude.
just
Yeah,
let
when
me enjoy my stuff, bro.
exactly. Yeah, when that last season came out, I was definitely like the same way. Like people were hyping it up. And so usually when that stuff happens, I just wait until like the hype goes down and then I watch it.
Yeah.
I know when like when Jujutsu Kaisen came out, first started dropping in like Tower of God, for example, my friends were like super hype about it. I also was just like binge watching. Like, dude,
Mhm.
I hate having to wait like a week for the next episode. So, I just let it, go on for a little bit and then I watched it. But I mean, rightfully so, those shows are pretty good.
I will
I know some
say,
people that like the first anime they've ever watched is like Jujutsu Kaisen or whatever, and
yeah,
they liked it.
I will say like that's definitely true for not Tower of God, but God of High School.
Yes,
That
that too.
oh my gosh, like
Yes.
that show was super duper hype. Honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I was right there. I was like, oh my gosh, this show is just about fighting. This show is literally about boxing. I'm gonna love this show. It's just people getting beat up. I love it. One big tournament arc, and the show dropped, and I was like, there's no story with any of this. It's quite literally just fighting. I watched that whole show, the whole first season, and I was like, I could not tell you what this show was about. Aside from people wanting to fight. Not once did they go to high school, even though it's called God of High School. It
Where's the high school?
where the high school at? It's literally just them doing fight after fight.
Just fighting. Yeah.
There was only one like arc in the first season where it was about this girl like getting married or something like that. But that only lasted like 2 episodes. The whole rest of it was straight fights. I was like, there's no story behind this. It's literally just senseless fighting. Even Dragon Ball Z got some story in it.
True.
and that's mostly
They
fighting.
can milk. They milk uh those uh those episodes out. It's like the difference between, like, one, have you seen One Punch Man?
Yeah.
Like season 1 and season 2?
Mm.
Like how, like for me I was like, dude, the first season was so good, like the how they animated it, just how they drove the story, and then season 2 was just kind of a little bleh.
Because season 2 got picked up by a new by a different company, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think that was the reason.
that would do it.
They even you see they like it's something stupid, but somebody had pointed out that they drew like a shiny spot on Saitama's head, and they're like, "Why they put
Oh,
that spot on his head? It wasn't here in season 1." I was like, "Y'all are being very childish.
very petty.
That's very petty. Like, who notices something like that? That's stupid. He didn't have this shiny spot in the manga. It's not accurate. I want a refund. This show's gonna be trash. They're adding stuff to the characters I don't want to see. Like it's
Like,
very
you
oh.
gotta, yeah.
But I do agree that it was is season 2 was but it is what it is. But do you find yourself and actually since we're talking about do you typically just stick with manga or sorry with anime, or do you try and read manga every webtoon?
Yeah, I definitely, not with a lot of them. I think with mostly the only manga that I've read has been, I've gotten pretty far into like the Boruto manga.
Mm,
Is I know when I first started that, they weren't dropping the episodes as frequently, and I just wanted to know what would happen. So I caught up in that. But I definitely try to read some manga when I get the time. But most of the time, I'll usually stick to anime.
I feel you.
There's nothing wrong with manga though. I think manga is definitely the way to go. Like
Oh,
if
for
you can
sure.
read the manga and then watch the anime, I think that's like the best thing.
With me, I've always tend to do the opposite. I even did this like back when like Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings movies were popping
Yeah,
way back
yeah,
when. I like to watch the movie first and then go back and read the book because I feel like if you read the book, like you're I don't know. I just feel like you're being spoiled for stuff. So I do read manga,
true,
but
true.
it's more like the only time I'll read it, either a manga or a webtoon, is if I know for sure it's probably not gonna get an anime adaptation. Like if I'm gonna read something, I'm gonna make sure like I'm gonna read it. That's it. Like I understand why people like to read the manga because they want to see like certain stuff animated. Like for example,
Right.
like the pain arc in Naruto Shippuden. Like the way that it looks in the manga, you could tell they took their time like detailing that whole page. Like before he about to destroy the leaf and all of that, they took their time with
Right.
that. They drew all the buildings, all of it. It looks really good. That I can understand why somebody would be like, oh man, I can't wait till this gets animated so I can watch it in anime. It'll be dope. But in terms of from like a story aspect, I don't want to be spoiled ahead of time because I feel like that's a lot of the people that's like in anime communities who just be super toxic about oh the show's gonna be trash. I already read the manga or oh the
Yeah,
show
yeah.
did this and it wasn't in the manga. Like I really don't want to be one of those people. So I tend to just do the reverse. I'll watch an anime and then I'll catch up in the manga after the fact.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. Cause like sometimes you read the manga, or in the case of like Harry Potter, of like the Hunger Games or something like that, like you read the book and you kind of expect the movie to be a certain way or to show certain things. And then sometimes, for whatever reasons, they just don't show those things, or it's just portrayed a totally different way. And then, so to an extent, it's like you almost don't appreciate the anime or the movie as much. I guess it depends on kind of how your outlook, what your mindset is going into it. If you've already read the book,
For
so
sure.
if you're going into it thinking like, oh, it better be like the book, like of course you're gonna walk out to some extent disappointed, unless it's word for word just like it. But I mean, like if yeah, it's you kind of just have to appreciate it for what it is.
I
But yeah,
agree. And it's like I don't know. Like I don't like I know how I am with certain media stuff. I don't want to be the person to said because I feel like, and actually, yeah, with anime and video games, I feel like that's where they can connect a little bit in terms of like putting a show or a game on a certain pedestal or a platform and then being let down, even if the product is good, because you put it on this high, you set this high bar in your mind for that product. If it doesn't
Right.
hit that bar, then you think it's like you think it's trash or something like that. And I feel like that happens all the time in manga and with video games, especially anime. If there's already a manga adaptation and somebody's already read it, they've already set this bar for it. And then if a
Right.
certain
So then
episode
when the
doesn't,
show comes out, you're just like, oh, it's got to be this good. The
yeah,
animation's got to be this tier.
it's got to play out on screen how I played it out in my mind before the fact. Like I don't like I can appreciate people who do that, who read the source material or whatever you want to call it. Like I can appreciate those kinds of people, but let people enjoy the experience for themselves. If they haven't read the manga, nothing like that, don't spoil the show for one, and don't just letting people enjoy it as a whole product. Let them come to the conclusion they want to come to once it's all said and done. Once the anime is finished or whatever, then talk about it. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Things get spoiled so easily, especially with like social media and stuff. Like if you're keeping up with like any anime or if you watch like I know some people watch like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette and that stuff.
Yeah.
All that stuff gets spoiled like that the day the episode comes
Yeah,
out.
that it comes exactly. Even when I'm on like TikTok or something like that, like
Yeah.
I be wanting, I'll make a TikTok or something like that about an episode of a anime or something like I watch, right? But I will at least try and do it like a few days to a week after the the thing came out. Like I'm not gonna sit here and make a video or a TikTok or talk on the pod about an episode that just came out unless I'm doing like a live reaction to something.
Right. Where people know like, oh, I'm talking about this and they're definitely gonna be spoilers.
Exactly.
That's
You
what
like
they
you know what you're getting into beforehand. I don't want to just pop up on my screen. Like if I'm scrolling on Twitter and if something pops up on my screen and then I'm being spoiled. No spoiler warning, no nothing like that. That happened to me
no,
when
I
I was
hate
gonna
that.
go watch Wolverine. Or sorry, not Wolverine, Logan. When the day Logan came out, somebody on Twitter had already watched it. And I was going to the movie theater and I was just scrolling the
Just
timeline.
scrolling through Twitter, yeah.
And and somebody was like, Logan dies at the end of the movie. No heads up or nothing like that. It was
Mm.
just a picture and that was the caption. I wasn't even searching up Logan on Twitter. But it was somebody had seen it on the timeline and said that. And that's the only thing they said and they laughed. I was mad because I had
Oh,
already
they
bought the
knew what
ticket
they
and
were doing
everything.
too.
I was like, never again. So now whenever I get on Twitter, if I know that I'm watching a show or going to see a movie, I gotta mute certain words before I go and watch the show or movie because I know people are gonna spoil it.
Yeah, it's so bad these days. You have to like shield yourself from the outer world to not get the spoilers. That is if you're not like watching the show instantly. Yeah, I feel bad for like new people getting into like Naruto and stuff and like they follow like the anime portion on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I've been on there and they spoil so much in those TikToks sometimes.
I will say, but to be fair, I will say Shippuden, Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, in that case, I feel like it's not so much of a spoiler as it is like just common knowledge. Like if it was Boruto, then yeah, I completely understand
Right,
because
right.
Boruto is like an ongoing show. Like it's new episodes every single week. But with Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, especially Naruto, the original series ended in 2007. Like if you ain't seen it up until now, then you can't really be like, oh, you spoiled me, bro. It's been done. It's been done for 14 years.
True, true.
I
Well, yeah, with like the kids and stuff that like trying to get into it.
like it's one thing if you hold a conversation with somebody like if I'm talking to you and you haven't seen the full thing, then I'm not gonna spoil it. Then that in that
Right,
situation, then yeah,
right.
I understand it. But if you scrolling on social media and you see something about the show that's been done for
For
years,
years, yeah, you kind of can't.
like
Yeah, yeah,
you,
makes sense.
I'm not gonna hide that. Come on. But
Like you should
definitely
have
with
known you were
Naruto for
gonna see
sure.
something.
Right, exactly. Like especially
Right,
like
right.
like you scrolling on a certain section on Twitter. Like if you under the anime section on Twitter,
Oh yeah,
you
you gotta be ready for spoilers.
like come
You
on,
just have
bro.
to know.
Just stay off social media. If you have any kind of like entertainment that you or anything you're trying to consume, whether it be the story mode of a game, anime, a movie, whatever, just stay off social media because you know you're gonna get spoiled. You're literally asking for yourself to be spoiled, even if you're not looking to be spoiled.
Oh yeah, that's like one of the worst things. Like, when you're trying to buy like get a new game that comes out and maybe you don't get it on release, right? But you're like on YouTube,
Yeah,
and then the walkthrough comes through, and it's like you don't even click on the walkthrough, but the thumbnail just spoils something. You're just like,
yeah.
oh, dude,
Now your whole
you
mood
gotta
to change.
shelter yourself,
I
shield yourself from it.
And it's funny because the second you said that, it reminded me of the Last of Us 2. I was gonna play that game because I really like the first game. The Last of Us is a really fun game. I did not pick that game up because there was a whole like debacle or whatever you want to call it going on with the company where an employee had like leaked the script because the company wasn't paying them or something like that, or they were being underpaid, and people were like sharing the script. They spoiled the whole game before it was even released. Said
No,
who
that's
was gonna
ridiculous.
die and everything, and I was like, the game not even out yet, and you literally it had not even dropped yet, and it was like a few days before release date, and they spoiled the entire game. Said the plot, who would die, who wasn't gonna die, like this, that, and the other. Like it was a wrap, and I was like, I guess I'm not buying that game.
Yeah, I hadn't previously played The Last of Us, but I was thinking about just like playing the second one, and I heard so many bad things about it. Like
Like the
I just heard
gameplay
the
and stuff
whole
is
plot
cool,
gets
but
spoiled. And when it's a super like story mode oriented game and the whole story gets spoiled, like it's hard to still go back and play the game because you already know what's gonna happen basically.
exactly, it's different if it's like something like if it's a game that is not super duper focused on the story. Like if it's a like a multiplayer oriented game, like I don't know, like Call of Duty. Yeah, people care about Call of Duty campaigns, but when people say Call of Duty, they think about multiplayer. They're not thinking about no story mode. Even though the story mode matters to a lot of people, like people aren't gonna care about that. But if you take a single player experience and spoil the whole thing, that's that's it. You don't have nothing else going for you. No matter what
Right, you can't come
decisions you
back
make in
from
the
it.
game or nothing, it's gonna be the same outcome because somebody spoiled it. That's crazy.
That's what really sucks. But I'm excited though. I'm excited for the new games coming out this year. So
What's
many
a
good titles.
what's a aside from obviously the Halo, the Battlefield, and Call of Duty, is there a game that's on your radar that you are looking forward towards, or you're just ready for all of it?
Yeah, I watched I remember when Ubisoft was having like their event, they showed this game called Riders Republic.
Hmm?
It's basically, I guess you could consider it as it's not like just skateboarding. Like if you think of like the Tony Hawk skateboarding game, like they have snowboarding, all these various types of like sport, like cliff diving and all this.
Yeah,
It's basically like open world. So like you can be, for example, in this server with like 100 different people, and you're all like in the same area doing tricks. You can like play with your friends and stuff. I thought that one was really cool. It's like not not more or less like a story mode game, but just like a super immersive, fun, arcadey multiplayer game you can play with friends.
Yeah, that sounds like I don't
It's
remember
like a
seeing that, but
huge
that
world.
sounds very similar to the this game called Steep. It was like you can snowboard, you can hang glide, you can ski, parasail, and something else like. And then like it was everybody on this one map. It was kind of like GTA, but everybody was like in the Alps. Like it was like 100 people in a server. Everybody was on the Alps, so you could do all that stuff. I don't know how well it did. I played it for a little bit. It was straight, but that sounds dope.
Yeah, it's definitely similar to that. Yeah, it seems super cool. I'm excited. I don't know when it. Let me see when it releases. The beta is the beta out? I swear I saw somebody playing it today. Oh, it comes out in October on the 28th. Yeah, it should be. It comes out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, so maybe it'll be cross. It'll be crossplay.
Hopefully by the end of the year. I'm trying to get me like I think the bad thing, like the only downside to trying to stream is having to get like these different consoles. Like I already have multiple consoles. Like I grew up with multiple consoles. Like whenever I had some money, I just wanted to play with whoever. But now that there's like a shortage and it's hard to come across stuff, like when the PlayStation 5 came out, I wanted to play Miles Morales Spider Man. I wanted to play Ratchet and Clank because that's what I grew up on. Like it's like I can't, and that's like content that I can't get. But I'm happy a lot of these games are having like crossplay, especially that I have a PC. I can just play on here and play with whoever I want to.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great selling point for games. So I think it's kind of moving into the age where um more people were getting into like PC games. It's like I
Yeah,
didn't get my first PC until like this year. So that was definitely more of like a console person. I know there's still people that more or less like prefer console gaming. So having new games um that are all crossplay, like it just creates more incentive to get the game. So more people can play it, communicate. You're not like limited to playing with only your Xbox friends or only your PS5 friends.
exactly. And I plus like in my case, like I think I'm right there with you. Like I don't want to. The only reason I would say I prefer console is because I know my friends, like a lot of my friends, don't necessarily have a PC. But the reason I like having both is like I'm a person who likes options. Like that's why I have a Switch, I have an Xbox, I have a PS4, I have my PC that I got a couple years ago. Like
Yeah, yeah.
if I travel out of town, like let's say I'm a PC gamer, right? If I go out of town, I
Can't
can't,
take the PC with you
and
unless you have a laptop, I guess.
exactly, like unless I like pack up my PC or unless I have both a gaming PC and
A gaming
a gaming
laptop,
laptop,
yeah.
exactly. So to combat that, I have a PS4 that's easy to pack. It's just one HDMI, one power cord, and box.
Yep, and the controller. Yep,
Or if I
easy.
have my Switch, like I bought a Switch for that sole purpose, and I love it. I bought my Switch 2 years ago. I play it all the time. Anytime I go out of town, I take it with me. That keeps me
Yeah, the
occupied.
Switch is so perfect.
I can watch Netflix and Hulu on it. If my let's say my phone dies or something like that, I can watch Netflix or Hulu using the Wi-Fi off of that. I can play certain. I can play Fortnite on my Switch if I want to, even though I don't play Fortnite. That's an option that I
Yep.
have. Like
Minecraft.
exactly. Like it's just it's pretty much like a supersized DS or a PSP. That's exactly what it is. It's like an
Yep.
updated version of that, and then I can play it on my like on a screen or whatever if I want to. Like the Switch is perfect in my opinion. If
The
PlayStation,
The Switch is killing it.
if PlayStation had a version of that, like I know the PlayStation had the PSP or whatever, but if they
Yep, they
had a
don't even make
version,
them anymore. That's what sucks.
yeah, like
That was their competitor, and they just because I used to have. I think I've had every generation. Like I've had the first generation, the PSP Go, the one that would slide up and down,
yeah,
and then the Vita with the touch screen. I mean, even when I had them, it wasn't. You really could only play. You could play some PlayStation games, but like your friend on the PS4. But like, it's nothing like a Switch.
I
You
feel
can
like the
get
PlayStation was just ahead. It was just ahead of its time, honestly.
true,
The
true.
PSP was way ahead of its time thinking about playing like console games and stuff on there. Because I guarantee you, if PSP, especially the Vita, if that were to come out this year or next year, like for the first time, it'd be the most
It would
groundbreaking thing in the
sell.
world.
It would sell so great.
Like, cause I've had every PlayStation. Like, I grew up with PlayStation. I didn't have the original Xbox. Our first console that we had in our house, my sister, she had a Nintendo. Like, we had Nintendo and PlayStation growing up in my house. But I had every single PlayStation except for the Vita. Cause by the time it came out, you had like the DS and then the DS Lite, the 3DS. Then you got
Yo,
the Switch that just came out. Like Nintendo has always been killing it with like their handhelds, but when the original PSP came out, like
you
that,
couldn't beat it.
you
You
really
couldn't beat
couldn't.
it then.
It blew my mind. Like I was playing NBA Live on there, Ratchet and Clank, playing GTA. Like I had everything on there. You could watch movies on there. You could get on the internet. And that I think the PSP came out in like 2005 or 6 or something like that. It came out before I was in middle school or while I was in middle school. Like the game, like it was just ahead of its time. Like it came out way too soon. Because if it were to come out now, it would stomp everybody.
It really would. It sucks. It really sucks they stopped making it.
I
Because
think
then,
down
I
the
mean,
road
you
they
think
definitely could.
they could take something from Nintendo and have like the where you can get extra controllers. So like, you have it to play with your friends. Like, I think that's super cool that the Switch did. The fact that you can obviously hook it up to a TV, but then you can also have a bunch of controllers so you and your friends can play like Mario Kart or Smash Brothers or anything.
I think the only thing that Nintendo needs to do, they not allowing people to hold like competitions and stuff for they for their games. Like the
Oh,
whole
really? They stopped doing the Smash tournaments and stuff.
well, like the people who are holding the Smash tournaments, like it's not under Nintendo. Like it's like
It was a
independent.
third party, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
aside from what's it called? What's the freaking fighting game tournament, dude?
Street Fighter maybe.
No, like
No,
the competition. I
it's
forgot the
totally
name of the
different.
competition. It's called
Yeah.
oh my gosh, hold up. This is gonna drive me crazy. Uh, Evo, that's what it's called.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Evo holds like it's the like the world's biggest like fighting game competition. They have multiple games. They have like Street Fighter, they have Smash Brothers, Tekken. All of that is like under one roof. It's huge. But Nintendo doesn't want like any independent like people holding any kind of tournaments with any of their IPs at all.
That's like it's honestly the downfall because you see it's just like that with CS:GO. Like Valve wasn't they weren't like the main party conducting all of their like esports type of stuff.
Yeah.
And now like you see Valorant for example, like they started off having, a third party nerd street gamers like stream and do all of that and then they've just hired those people that were working at that third party and then they run it themselves as well. So it's like, yeah, it really sucks when like the main developer isn't holding those competitions.
Like, and if I'm looking at it like that, like there's no like I want to know like what's the reason behind that. Like I understand like they're not getting any money. Like I understand like they're money out of it. Like that's the whole reason why they don't want to support something like that. But if that's the case, then why not hold tournaments for it? There's like only good things can come from independent people like hosting tournaments for your game. That's more revenue coming towards your game, people buying more into the game, playing your game. They're gonna get it from these independent competitions that are like in their hometown or like in their state or something like that. Like they're not always gonna go to like the grand stage or something like that. So when they see that you're like trying to cut ties with those people and ban them from streaming your game, then that's, or sorry, not streaming, from holding competitions with your game, that just hurts you. And
Yeah, I think maybe it just maybe it just has to do with I guess what audience they're prioritizing. So maybe like Call of Duty, for example. I know I still follow. I've been following like COD esports since I was in high school, but like now it's become like a franchise thing that they've actually like changed and everything. But for you take like Modern Warfare, for example, I think the main reason, especially with the cheaters and everything, that they haven't like taken a big step with that is just they're prioritizing like the casual players. People don't really play as much, you know, with the skins and everything. So I think when it comes to like the competitiveness of the game, it's just like the main company just not really caring about like, oh, we're gonna push this competitive stuff. 'Cause maybe they just don't see any benefit from it. Like, yeah, either like you said, money wise or bringing new eyes to the game.
yeah,
That's
I
usually
feel
how it
you.
is. Like the casual player is usually the audience that you look for because that's what you want for
Exactly. That's
people
the
to come
people who's
back.
gonna
Because
be
not
bringing you more
everybody's trying to
money.
sweat, right?
And that's the same case with I feel like that's where, even though I don't play Fortnite, I feel like that's where good or at least they, and I can't even say they attempt to, because it seems like from what I've seen, it seems like they flip flop. Sometimes they'll cater to like the casual player or whatnot,
Right.
but then at other times it feels like you can't hop into a a regular duo game or squad game of Fortnite and just and chill out and have fun. Like I don't remember the dude who made a video about this, but he was like, Fortnite is like super duper competitive now. It's not even like a laid back game to where like you can get into a lobby and like rocket ride or anything like that anymore, or just be goofy. Now everybody's like trying to like do placements and stuff, like trying to be the next like Booga
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Ninja or something like that. And I was like, I really agree with that. I feel like out of all the battle royales, Fortnite is specifically like that.
I think because I know I played it recently, like maybe a couple months ago with my friend, just to see what it was like. And I know they added like bots and stuff into it, so it's like you're not always playing a person. So I think, like you said, they kind of flip flop where they input certain things to kind of cater to that, to where you know if you're a casual person, even if you're good at the game, like you're not trying to sweat your mind out every single game. So I think having like those bots to an extent makes it more enjoyable to just hang out. But yeah, I mean, just
Some games I feel like it's become like it became like overbearing, because I don't know if you played PUBG, but I played some months back because I actually really liked PUBG. Uh, but I put it down because it's like 100 people. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 100 people or 125 people or something like that can land in a PUBG. But the problem with it was that no matter what lobby you were getting into, every person that was up in there was like a bot. And the thing is, the bots wouldn't be running in squads and stuff like you and your team. They'd just be like a single bot off by itself running into a
just
door.
standing
Or
there. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like so when you do want to get competitive or something like that and you run across that, it's like it defeats the purpose. I think specifically Apex. Apex doesn't have, from my knowledge from playing it recently and stuff, Apex, I feel like, is the one battle royale right now that doesn't really have cheaters. It doesn't have any bots, and it really takes like it takes. I'm not gonna say it doesn't take skills for the other games or whatever to get kills, but it takes a longer amount of time to kill somebody. In Apex, it's a very like competitive based game. Like you can get in there and play casuals in Apex, but they have a whole playlist for ranked. No
Yep, and they have
bots or nothing.
3 different maps on the rotation. Like you can't beat that. Like, I think if Warzone had 3 different maps on the rotation, like, it's totally different.
It'd be
But yeah,
good.
you're right. Yeah, it does take a lot more skill to play that game. Your positioning, it's a very heavy on like positioning and your movement.
Team
So you can't just
composition,
it's not
everything.
like yeah, it's not like COD where you can just be out in the open and you can beam somebody and you don't really have to face the consequences of that because the time to kill is so short to where if you have decent enough aim you can wipe a squad by yourself in like 30 seconds, but like in Apex you can't do that
Yeah, you're
at
not wiping
all.
out no squad unless
Yeah,
even if
you
you
have
pull up with a
you have to
shoddy or something
truly
like that.
outplay them to do that.
Yeah, and
Yeah, you
even then, it's
can't
gonna
just
take a
like run
while.
around and yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially now, a lot of people getting into it. So I think people are tired of all the cheaters and everything on COD, and they're like switching to Apex. So there's definitely like a lot of like new players and everything, which is great for the game because I've played it since it first dropped. It's really great. They add new legends and everything, and I don't know what the cycle is on the maps. I'm assuming probably around every 6 months or so they try to come out with a new map
Yeah,
at least once a year. And
but I think
the
because
new maps haven't been terrible, and they always go back to the old one. So it's a pretty solid game.
and they added in that other mode too. That's almost like Valorant. They have like it's like a
Like the
round based thing.
arena.
Yeah, they have like an arena style game mode. I think it's okay. I know a lot of people don't really care for it just because the way that Apex plays, like you said, it takes like the time to kill is a lot longer. So in that kind of game mode, I know a lot of people might find it frustrating or whatever. But
Right.
just the fact that, like you said, they add a new character in that game. Like it seems like every like 5 months or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely. They
it's
are on top
crazy.
of that.
They add a new character in there like every 5 months. The meta changes. They balance the guns and stuff. I'm not saying the game is perfect because it does have its flaws, but if I'm comparing it to any other battle royale as like a whole, I feel like Apex is the most well-rounded battle royale in terms of gunplay, positioning, team composition, the maps. Like if I'm literally grading everything about the game on a scale, like on a scale, this I feel like it's the most well-rounded battle royale out of all of them.
Yeah, and it's definitely more rewarding for you to when you're not as good as the game and you're trying to figure it out. Like you compare that to Fortnite, like Fortnite may in some instances have a lower time or I guess not a lower, a higher time to kill. But I mean, in order for that to happen, you have to be decent enough at building and all of that. And then, you have all of the aspects of that game that you have to learn. But with Apex, it's just, it's pretty cut and dry. You're just pointing and shooting. Basically, you have a couple of abilities per legend, but it's not overbearing to the point to where it's hard for you to learn the fundamentals of the game.
Yeah, I think Fortnite did really good. Like when it first came out, like the first couple seasons of Fortnite were
Oh, they
like
were great.
I actually like
That was the
played it a
prime,
little bit
without a doubt.
because it's like everybody was like at the same like or at least a decent like level apart from each other. Build battles and stuff weren't crazy. People were still like running and gunning in Fortnite, but people were like having fun. I literally have not played Fortnite in about like a year and a half, honest to God, maybe even more because it's not even that I don't like the game because I like watching Fortnite a lot. I like watching competitive
Yeah.
Fortnite. I like watching Fortnite streamers because I think the people who play the game are really skillful and it's fun to watch. But me personally, like I don't if I'm hopping into a battle royale, right? Me personally, I do not want to have to worry about materials and have like having a Minecraft build battles to see who can build the best fort just to get outplayed by something stupid.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like is
They have like a rail. Yeah, have you seen recently? They have like a rail gun in that game that can like shoot through through
oh,
your builds.
oh my
So yeah, like
gosh.
defeats the whole purpose because once it hits you, it's basically like I'm trying to think. If you can compare it to Apex, for example, like the Bloodhound scan, how once
Yeah,
it highlights you, there's like that halo around you.
yeah.
So it's like the same thing in Fortnite. Like it basically highlights you, and you can just beam you one shot through your build, and it's just yeah.
And I
Yeah, when I
saw
played it a
that.
couple months ago, I played it for about maybe a couple weeks, and once I saw that, I was like, yeah, no way, that's stupid.
I saw this thing. I don't know what kind of gun this thing is, but it's like a giant. If what you're talking, I don't know if what you're talking about is different from what I'm thinking. But like, there's this gun that shoots out like a giant energy orb, and it just like it disintegrates everything. And if you touch it, no matter what kind of like health or mats you're at, if you touch it, you die.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like, come on, like this junk is just silly. I don't.
I don't know if you ever saw the Infinity Sword that
Yeah,
they
I
put in the
remember
game back
that.
then, and then they had
Yes.
it in a professional tournament.
Oh, oh my
And when they did like
gosh.
anti gravity, dude, that
Oh
was
my
like a.
gosh.
I will say, if you were watching it, it was hilarious
The anti
to
gravity, I will
think in
say,
a
it's
professional
funny to
environment
see.
that they would allow that. Because
It is.
oh my god! But if you think about the people that are like legit competing for money, you're competing for like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there's something that game breaking in the game. It's pretty
It
messed up.
is very stupid. And then you got the Call of Duty on the other hand, like, yeah, they have professional tournaments or whatever, but they're just now talking about putting in an anti cheat software in their next update that's supposed to be coming like next month or something like that. I've only played Warzone a handful of times. I think one of the times it was with I think I've played Warzone with you like
Yeah,
one
I
or
think
two
we have
times.
played some. Yeah,
But it's like Warzone been out for 2 years now, right? It came out in Modern Warfare, and then they continued it with Cold War, right?
right, right.
So it's been out for roughly 2 years, and they're just now talking about we're putting in an anti-cheat software, and they have banned over. I think it said it was over 100,000 people from
Yeah,
cheating.
hundreds of thousands of hackers,
Like,
and it's been a thing. It's been like front page thing for over like a year.
like how does that
And it took them
happen?
this long, and they have that much money. Like, oh, okay,
Especially Call of Duty. Call
okay,
of Duty time in and time out. Call of Duty
there we go.
is the 2K of FPSs. The same thing with 2K. 2K
Yes.
basketball could come out with something, but because they know they don't have competition that year, they can get away with it because they know people are gonna play it. The past 2 years, there hasn't really been a standard FPS. Like, yeah, there's been battle royales, but there hasn't been like a standard like FPS really up there with Call of Duty. In terms of Warzone, yeah, you had your Fortnite, you had your Apex, that stuff. But you know how much money not Raven Software, but I don't know who developed this past Call of Duty, but whoever
It
got
was. I think it was like Treyarch, and I don't want to say Sledgehammer. I think it was Infinity Ward and Treyarch, because I'm pretty sure
yeah, them boys got
Sledgehammer and Activision are doing the next one. The people that made like Modern Warfare 2, the Modern Warfare
yeah, you're
series.
right. You're right. Like Infinity dog, come on man. Y'all can't have that much money and then 2 years into your cycle talking about you just now implementing anti-cheat software. Like it'd be one thing if they already had a software in place and they just had to update it because there was more cheaters. That's understandable. It's a big game. There's a lot of people playing it, and it'll be hard to catch people with it. But the fact that you've made the amount of money you've made in the past 2 years, and you're telling me you're just now about to implement that when the next Call of Duty is about to come out.
Like, yeah, in most games that even come out nowadays that are, first person shooters, they have the anti cheat built into it. You think
Exactly,
of like
especially on PC.
Rogue Company has its own anti cheat. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, like
If I'm not
how there
mistaken,
isn't one.
Apex had their own anti cheat after the first couple months because there were people using like a loot box glitch to where they could like stand on loot box and launch themselves up in the air instead of getting a
Yeah,
zip
yeah,
line. They
right.
they
They
if
were
I'm not
very
mistaken, they
quick on
patched
that.
that. Exactly. But this game has been out for 2 years or whatever, and they're talking about, oh yeah, we're gonna implement it. What took y'all so long? There's literally no benefit in them waiting this amount of time because all they're doing is like I understand it costs money to do something like that, but when you have an overabundance of money, like you would think they would fix that problem because as soon as you fix that problem, the more willing people are going to be to play your game.
Yeah, you can't with something like that unfair in a game. You have to nip that in the bud as quick as possible to just drive people away, and that's what's happening now. I mean, I know some people still go back and play it. I'm pretty sure most of the major Warzone streamers have relocated to Apex, and Apex is doing great now. Which I mean, it's been doing pretty decent up to now, but now it's just it has all this traffic, everybody's playing it.
Yeah,
It's
I
just gonna
know.
do even better, and that's probably why they're just now doing it. Is they're like, okay, everybody's leaving our game,
Yeah, we got to make these
now we
changes
can do
super
this.
quick. Exactly. So people like if anybody who knows me, like I love watching Tim Tap Man. I think Tim Tap Man is funny as fuck.
Yeah,
He's super
he's
funny.
hilarious.
Like he was a person who was on Fortnite. I think, and actually, you know what? This stemmed from there. He was originally playing over. Well, he started out way back in the day on CS:GO. Started on Overwatch. Transitioned
True.
over to Fortnite for a few years. Right, was playing with Ninja and the rest of them. Then came over to Warzone. I think at first for Warzone, I think he was actually sponsored by Warzone. I don't know if he still is, but he still plays the game. Like the game, Call of Duty as a whole, I think is fun. But like you said, when people see that that's what's going on in your game, it doesn't matter if they're sponsored or not. They're gonna go over to another game, especially with something like Apex, Doctor Disrespect, Tim the Tatman, uh, what's his name? Dunlap, Dr. Lupo, all of them are going over to Apex. Shroud is playing Valorant in Apex. Like when
Yeah,
you
it's
like it'd be one thing if the casual player was going over, but because people who stream have so much of an influence, once people see that they're not even playing the game anymore, that's gonna hurt you.
yeah, that's probably why. I mean, it's kind of like it's. I noticed it's kind of like how Fortnite has stayed so popular, and that's honestly just down to their genius marketing team, like with just how they've done these events and how they understand how like they watch and they know when it's falling off, and they know when to implement something big into the game,
Yep.
even if it's something small like a little teaser, like like for example like the meteor event that like went on for at least a month, I can't remember, before they did like that whole blackout event, when the game was down for a day and it was just like that galaxy on the game or whatever.
Yeah, that
I
was
mean,
a big deal. I wasn't even playing Fortnite during that, but I was up to date on that whole event. I was like, "Oh snap,
yeah,
what's gonna happen?" It had people who don't even play Fortnite like interested. And the
it
thing
was
was
trending on
crazy.
Twitter for like a week.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I was staying in the stream. Some people were saying they couldn't get in this that, and the other. I remember I had even loaded up my Xbox and left it on overnight just to see what was going on. And it's it's crazy because if you think about it, Fortnite is a free to play game, but you can buy it for the whole Save the World campaign thing, right?
Right.
That that campaign has been that so technically the game has been according to them in beta for the past what Fortnite's been out for what 4 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
They said that that was gonna be free when the beta was over. That portion of the game still costs money. And they're 3 years in. They're not putting anything into that save the world mode. Because the thing is, Fortnite didn't even like originally want to come out as a battle royale. That was just an
You're
extension.
right. You're right. It was supposed to be save the world, and then I'm pretty sure like one dev was like, "Let's create like a battle royale section of this," and the guy was like, "Okay, whatever," and then it just ended up popping off.
Yeah, that was like the little side thing you could do. They're like, oh yeah, we'll give you this battle royale portion, but if you want to play this multiplayer campaign thing, it's gonna be I think it was like $30 or something like that. And a
Right.
lot of people are like, oh well, let me see what this battle royale thing was about because at the time it was the main two battle royales that were really popping off at the time. before Fortnite had really established itself was DayZ and PUBG.
Yep. H1Z1, Daisy. I think Daisy and H1. I don't know the difference between. I think when I first like learned about those games, I thought Daisy and H1Z1 were the same game. I didn't even know that they were two different games.
Well, DayZ is supposedly is
Whereas
a
H1Z1, the battle royale portion of
yeah,
Daisy.
it's supposedly it was like a it was a modded version of H1Z1, and they ended up splitting it off and just making it into its own game instead of having it as a mod. So on surface level,
Oh,
it
okay. Okay.
is essentially the same game, but it's it's different at the same time. But yeah, those games were the ones that were popping off before Fortnite came along, and like I said, they weren't even planning on having that as its game, like its main mode, but it's turned into their main mode, and their story mode portion is still labeled. If I'm not mistaken, if you go to the menu on Fortnite, I don't have my Xbox on, but if you go to the menu on Fortnite and you go over to the save the world portion, if I'm not mistaken, it still says uh
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you still have to buy it. I
yeah,
think
it's
there
still
was a
like it still says
portion.
like beta or something like that.
Right. I'm pretty sure I know this for the consoles. Because I was what I used to wonder back in the day, but I think the reason they kept it in beta is for I don't know if it was the same for the Xbox, but I know for the PlayStation Store, you could only implement like an update at certain intervals, and they wanted to do it where they could update it, like every week how they usually do. So they had to keep it in beta for it to be able to do that.
And I'm like, that lets you know like they're good, like their marketing team and everything is good because
Yeah, they
no
know.
no
They,
game I know of is gonna be in beta for 3 years, 3 or 4 years. Nah, bruh. They knew
they
after they saw that the battle royale portion was doing as good as it was. They're like, all right, we need to dump all of our assets and our money into this. Forget that story mode. I don't know a single person who knows what the story mode for Fortnite is about.
yeah, I've played some of it. It basically has to do with the whole lore of the game. If you play Save the World, then you'll understand like basically the whole universe and why the events have happened. But yeah, I mean it's pretty much Save the World is basically just like the survival mode, but it provides a base lore to what the game is supposed to be about.
Because without playing that, I would just think that Fortnite is just, like a regular battle royale. No story, no nothing. Drop in, where we dropping, boys? Drop,
Yep.
get some guns, you shoot some people. Because aside from the people who have either bought the Save the World or got it through PlayStation or whatever, like nobody's doing that, and that's why they put that price tag still on it. Because it's like if you're curious, then you gotta buy it. If not, you can go ahead, go over there, and just get the battle pass.
Yep.
Battle pass, get some skins. And actually, if I think about it, that even proves my point further. How is it still in beta and y'all getting all this money from the battle passes?
Yeah,
All them
that's
skins and stuff, the shop and everything.
crazy.
Fortnite
Yeah,
is
all
making
these celebrities in the game,
got Travis Scott.
celebrity events,
Hey,
concerts, crazy.
and you know what? I think that's gonna be a regular thing we're gonna see in games, like concerts and stuff in games. Because even on Fantasy Star online, they had this like anime concert from some girl. I don't know if it was from
Yeah, I
Hot
know
Pink or
what you're
whatever.
talking about.
They had a concert on there. I think they're gonna have a Blackpink concert, that K-pop group or whatever. They're gonna have that on
Hmm.
PUBG this month or next month.
That's big for PUBG.
Honestly, that's probably the only thing that's going for it because PUBG on PC is damn near dead. I don't know that many people playing PUBG on PC. I know on Xbox there's a handful of people still playing it.
Yeah, I haven't played it, but I've watched. When I first started watching like Shroud, he was playing it, and then he kind of stopped playing it, and then I always thought it was interesting. It always looked fun, but I just never got into playing it.
I do think it's fun, but like I was saying, like it's riddled with bots. The bots make it less fun because at one moment you're in a lobby full of bots. Like you don't. The bad thing with me about it is that you don't know when you're gonna be in a lobby filled with bots. One minute you're smacking everybody in the lobby, whether it's a player or a bot, and then next thing you're in a lobby with top 500s or something like that, and you can't even.
Oh, it's like not even a good like a ratio bots to real players.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
inconsistent.
yeah, I can see that. I
It's
can see
very
that.
inconsistent.
Still know
Like,
Fortnite it has I don't know exactly how it is, but I know there's a decent ratio. You know when it's a bot, kind of roughly.
yeah, like you'll know
I
when
mean,
it's a
usually
bot.
you see the bots at the beginning of the game when you land, and then possibly at the end of the game. But I mean, if you're decent at it, then most of the bots are gone by mid games. People have killed them all.
Yeah, but like in PUBG's case, because PUBG maps are huge, like it takes
Huge,
forever to
yeah.
get one end to one end of the map to the other. Like if you drop at the beginning and the circles on the other end of the map, you're gonna spend the entire time driving to the other end of the map. But because the map is so big, you could be in like the second to last circle and you're still seeing bots walking into a
It's
wall or something like that. It could be 15 people left, and out of that 15, 7 of them might be bots. Next thing you know, you get caught lacking shooting a bot
shooting a
walking into a
bot.
house.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you end up getting killed by a regular person. So that's
Who's just
I
like baiting the bot out. Yeah, I
I
can see
I
that.
just dropped it, man. Like I just dropped it because it's inconsistent with the bots. Honestly, like I think with any game that's wanting to implement bots, bro, it should be like how Black Ops did it. The OG Black Ops, you could go into training, turn the bots on, and you can
Yeah.
fight or get them. And I think every game needs to do that. If you are a beginner, it should stick you in a lobby. If it's 100 people in there, have like 25 or 30 out of those people be bots. If you are a beginner, from level this to that, once you reach a certain level and a threshold, throw them to the wolves. It's filled with people. From there, you get better. I think
Yeah,
every level.
that would be really cool. I mean, I know Smite has it, League of Legends has it. Valorant doesn't have it in game. You can just go into the firing range and do it. CS:GO, I know they have it in deathmatch. You can do a deathmatch and it's like a mix between bots and players. But I can honestly say in that, because I've been playing, uh, I was on like Twitter one day and on my timeline there was like this Valorant player and he was like, "Bro, play deathmatch before you hop on Valorant. It's the best." So then I re-downloaded CS and played some deathmatch online. It's pretty fun. But yeah, you can't tell the difference between a. I mean, I guess you can if you really play, but most of the time you can't really tell much of a difference between the bots and CS:GO and a real person, aside from like how they act or
Like,
react.
if you're gonna have a bots in it, have them at least tuned to where they play like people. Because have you seen on Twitter when people were playing the Halo, I don't know if you want to call it an alpha or beta or whatever it was. I'm just gonna call it a beta just for the sake of it. But people were playing the beta, and some of the bots that they were going up against, if there wasn't a people playing the beta at a certain time, they'll fill it with bots. The bots were playing like regular people to the point that if the bot got a kill on you, it would walk up to you and teabag you.
Yeah, that's it. I love
Like
that so much.
I saw that, bro, and I like it blew my mind. I was like, bruh, that's
And
a
that is the
person.
standard.
That's what a person would actually do if you got killed a certain way. You would get teabagged. And what's crazy is, bro, it made me mad. They said that was actually a testing thing that's not going to be in the final game. Like, first of all, I don't
Oh,
think bots are going to be in the final game to begin with. But if they were, that's something that you want to see them do because that's like a realistic thing that an actual person would do.
yes, definitely.
Like that's the kind of stuff I want to see. That'd be funny. That junk was trending on Twitter. Like I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I can only picture like you just get sniped across the map on Halo and the bot like runs across and just teabags you and emotes on you.
Like it's It's great. But yeah, if games have bots in them, either set them to a certain standard to where they play like people. They don't have to be sweaty. Because I know, like, if you turn bots on like hardcore or something like that on Black Ops
True.
back in the day, they'll rock you.
They
Like
legit have aimbot, yeah. Like the veteran aimbots in COD, they really
it's a legit aimbot. Like it should be levels to it. Like you said in Smite, you can go into a conquest game, whatever. Set the difficulty, learn the game, and then when you feel comfortable, go into a regular match. Do not put bots in that in my opinion that ruins the experience. Even with the way Fortnite is right now, I know they have bots that you can go to and like buy weapons and stuff off of now. But if you
true.
shoot them, they'll shoot back. Like what is this? Like what is this, bro?
That's insane. And they really have to be balanced for the game, or it just kind of ruins it. They're either too OP or is it just like a cakewalk interacting with them?
Exactly, it's like a couch potato. The heck? Oh my gosh! Hold up. oh, oh! I really hope that's not true right now. Is it? No, it's not. Okay. Sorry, I got sidetracked, right? I had looked over to my other screen. I'm tripping.
Yo, speaking of Fortnite, did you ever watch like Daquan and Hamlin's back then?
Mm-mm. Oh yeah, I forgot Daquan is back.
Yep, yep. They yesterday they like released a YouTube video. They instead of they were previously under TSM and
Yeah.
now they're under NRG. They got like a content house situation, so they released a video, like a house tour of that. It's pretty cool.
Like I remember seeing them talking about having a like doing the house tour. I didn't see the house tour, but I saw on Twitter that they had like gotten a house with it. So, first of all, bro, I feel like that's a have a house.
Oh, dude, that yeah, it's the yeah, that's definitely the dream.
Like I want to be in a content house so bad, bro. It's
You
not
don't have
even a
to pay
joke.
for anything. They pay for the house and everything. You just sit there and just chill out, play games, and create content with the boys.
Especially if you're under like a company. Like it's one thing like you watch AMP like Agent Zero and Duke Dennis and Casanat and all of them.
Yeah, I've watched Agent Zero.
Yeah, they if I'm not mistaken, they made a team or whatever. They're not technically a team, but they're like a content house. They went and paid for that house themselves. But well, first of all, that just
Right.
shows you how much money they all making because that house is big. They live here in Atlanta now. Agent was in Toronto and moved down here.
Wow.
But I think like especially with NRG and TSM, bro, I feel like that'd be so dope. Like you said, they that's a house that the company got them. And they
Exactly.
stand with each other, making content, whatever kind of content they want to, and just chilling. I feel like that is so surreal.
That's the dream.
You got people in like 100 Thieves, TSM, Phase, Optic, Ghost, like is that that's crazy. But I'm happy for Daquan because Daquan was going through a lot, so it's good to see him back after a long
Yeah,
time.
it's yeah, I'm happy to see them back and just chilling out in their much deserved lavish content house. 'Cause, I mean, they were grinding, dude. And if you only imagine how big they'd be if they were they streamed through all of that time,
Right.
or maybe not. They could have fallen off.
I don't think Daquan would have fallen off because when he
Me neither.
disappeared, he was like at the height of his YouTube stuff.
Nobody really ever stopped talking about him. Like even if they didn't talk about him for a while, it would always come up. Like, dude,
I mean, it's the same thing
where's
like Corey
Daquan at?
Kenshin. Corey Kenshin hasn't uploaded a video in some months because he said he was burnt out, like he was gonna like step away from YouTube. I don't know
Yeah.
if he's gonna come back, but he said like he wants to do other stuff. This man hasn't posted anything in like 3 months so far, and people are still watching his videos, and they ended up getting him to 10 million subscribers.
Yeah, sometimes like taking that break can definitely be positive. It can like you would think that taking the break would make you lose some of your community, but in some instances it just makes it stronger and larger.
Exactly, because they're in anticipation for your return. I don't know if he's gonna make a return or not, but I feel like people just need to understand in general, like they look at video games and content creation like, oh, they're sitting on their butt doing this and the other. Although I will say, like, I feel like content creation would be a very fun job to have. Being
Yeah.
like, especially if you're a person who has a different personality when you're stream. I know a lot of people like are themselves when they make content, but
Right,
some
right.
people like have an alter ego or something like that. And for someone to ask you to do that day in and day out every single day with
Oh yeah.
that can be burnt out. So I actually have sympathy for those people who can have that kind of consistency when it comes to content creation, because that's not easy, especially for somebody who like uploads or streams seven
Yeah, I
days a
think
week.
that like the difference between like streaming and being a hardcore just YouTube uploader. So like some streamers say that it's easier, or I guess it's more likely for you to have like that alter ego on YouTube because you can just it's a 10-minute video, you can do multiple takes
Yeah.
of whatever you want to do. You can just like keep that energy or whatever. And then you like see some of them go and stream and it's like totally different. But like yeah, being able to like sit at your desk or whatever and entertain for fucking 8 to 12 hours
Every
on end
single
to
day,
thousands of people every single day. Like, yeah,
like that
that
can.
takes, yeah, it definitely takes a lot.
I know a lot of people outside
Not
of
anybody can do that.
exactly. Not everybody can like, and so because when I hear people say is video games for a living, oh that's not a job, this that and the either. I don't want to. I don't want to get into the conversation if it's a job or not. Like I'd feel like if you are doing a task, any kind of task, no matter what it is, if you are doing a task and people are willing to pay for your services, whether you are an entertainer, whether you're a teacher, whether you're person who makes paper for a living or does art, if people are paying for your services, no matter what the actual service is, in my opinion, it's a job.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really what it comes down to. Yeah, like if it's something that you love doing and you can definitely, make a living off of it or make some money off of it, it makes it even better. People just, I think people it's like the old generation mindset,
Mm-hmm.
bro, of like what a job is and what things are changing so much, like especially with COVID, people being able to work at home, like it's totally like the outlook is definitely changing on it. It's crazy to see like from like us growing up how different it was and how it is now. You got kids like waking up every day just wanting to become Fortnite professionals. Like not every kid wanted to do that when COD Black Ops 2 came out.
Exactly, or even further back, like when that's why I admire, especially like the older like competitive gamers, especially like in Optic and Phase, because those were the first two big companies that
Yeah,
I came across when I
definitely.
was younger, who
Love Optic.
like they really did like just like they were trendsetters, they're OGs, because
Yes.
they nobody up until that point, nobody had even thought about or dreamed about playing video games professionally and getting paid for it, or even some like even with YouTube, because YouTube's been longer than that. Like people never would have imagined that you could upload funny skits or this that and the other, upload to YouTube and get paid for it. And the whole reason I even with this podcast and stuff like that, I even at 24, I some people might say I'm a little bit older, but hey, I think I'm still young. But
It's the Zoomer mindset, bro. We're
yeah,
old to the Zoomers, but in reality, you really don't get old until you hit 40. Because most people say your 30s are the prime.
Yeah,
Some people say the 20s, you never forget your 20s, but the 30 or the your 30s are the prime years.
yeah,
So I mean you got professional if you think of it from a gaming standpoint, even outside of that. I know I keep up with like Formula One racing, for example, and there's like Lewis Hamilton, the multi world champion, he's like in his 30s. There's there's a guy, Fernando Alonso, he won a world championship years ago. He's like 40. He's still doing it. So it's like you never really get old, especially in esports. There's still 30 and 40-year-olds still competing at the professional level with that. And if they're not, if you don't think about competing, you take. I mean, Tim the Tatman's not even old. He's like in his 20s. This is crazy. For a second, I thought he was old for a second. You think of like Dr. Lupo. He's a dad with a family, and he's creating content for a living. So
that's what I'm saying. And that actually brings me back to what I was saying at the beginning of the cast, like how people put a like an age limit on certain things, like on an age limit
yeah,
on fun
yeah,
or certain things. Like you said, Dr. Lupo and Tim the Tatman. I think Tim is 31. If I'm not mistaken, 31, 32, something like that. Or actually, it might be late 30s. Or sorry, not late 30s, late 20s, early 30s, somewhere in that range. Dr.
that's what I
Lupo's
thought.
in
It
his
was like
30s.
late 20s or either early 30s.
Yeah, you're talking about a person who is 6 years, roughly, maybe like older than me, have a son, have a wife, and he's doing what he loves. He's playing games, he's making content, and doing what he loves. And the average person outside of like internet culture will sit there and look at him and was like, oh, he needs to get a real job. He needs to do this and that. People don't understand, first of all, how much, especially in Dr. Lupo's case, how much money he's donated for charity, how many people he's
Yeah.
helped, how much money he's making, first and foremost, how many sponsors are backing him. So when I get like a simple comment, whether it be like I've gotten comments, whether it be from my sister or somebody on TikTok or somebody who like a single person pops up in my stream or something like that or on the cast and says, "Oh yeah, you're doing a good job. This, that, and that, and the other." Those are the people who I think about because it's like you can really if you're willing to put in the hard work for something like that and put your all into into a specific thing and not like half-ass it, then you can put yourself in that position. Is it slim? Is it going to be hard to do that? Absolutely, because there's a lot of people who want to try and do a podcast, want to try and stream, want to try upload YouTube, TikTok, all of that stuff. But if you're not willing to go as hard at it as the people that you look up to, then you're not gonna do it.
Exactly.
That's
And just being happy with it and having fun with it.
that like
You got people that work 9 to 5 jobs at like sitting in an office. I mean, it's pretty cliche. That's the cliche, but like
but it's reality.
but
That's real. That's the thing.
right. And it's fine to do that if that's what you enjoy doing. But like if you don't enjoy doing it, then it's like I know my dad said like people say you're gonna work for the rest of your life. You might as well enjoy what you're doing. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like money doesn't grow on trees. You're gonna have to get money. But if you can make money doing something that you love doing, then that's a
Then
win-win
go for it.
situation.
Exactly. Exactly. Because I'm not gonna sit here and say it's easy to get a job because I know, especially for a
True.
lot of people who are out of the workforce because of the world right now. But
True. True.
I'm looking at it as a person who is not only in college, not only doing a 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and on top of that, trying to come home and stream for at least 3 hours. Trying to stream, trying to upload on YouTube, upload on TikTok. When I see any kind of like upwards progression in any facet, like for a prime example, I woke up this morning with roughly 600 followers. This is not a flex or nothing like that. I'm just saying like what's happened to me. I woke up this morning with 600 followers on TikTok. I get home
Hmm.
from work and I'm almost at 1K. I'm at 954
Okay.
followers. So in
Let's
the
go.
span
Let's
of
go.
me going to work and coming home, I see that kind of stuff motivates me. That it, to a lot of people that may not mean a big deal. even with the few people that show up to the podcast, there's 3 people in here, and I think one of them is like the Stream Elements bot or whatever. But seeing stuff like that, just knowing that I can do this and make somebody smile for a little bit. Somebody out there in the world can stumble across my stream, had a rough day at work, is going through the worst. But then they come home, they cut on their computer, their phone, or whatever, turn on the podcast, turn on the stream, TikTok, whatever, and they see me and you or whoever else on the screen, and it makes them smile for a little bit. That's why I want to do what I want to do. When I see any kind of progression like that in terms of followers, somebody engaging with the stream or YouTube and stuff like that, that's what I want to be able to do for a living. It's not
Yeah,
it's not even
it's
about just playing games or nothing like that. Like I want to be able to sit here at my desk and make people smile, make people laugh, make people think.
right, and you're just like having a good time, growing it, and having a nice, close knit, um, chill community. I mean, it's really remarkable. It's really great.
When I see that, I just think a lot of people they're like, oh, not gonna, especially like with people who tell you can't do something or you're not gonna succeed at something or something like not likely. That makes me want to do it even more, just so I can prove.
Right. Oh, you might want to have a backup plan.
Like and there's
Oh, you
nothing
know,
wrong with
and
that.
that
Like I agree in certain facets to have a backup plan, but if you're
very
going
true.
to
Very true.
something, if you're going to something but already thinking about plan B before you even attempt plan A, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're
You
already
said
preparing
yourself.
for
Yeah.
plan B.
Exactly.
You're not even thinking about plan A going right. Because I even had this conversation with my sister the other day. She was the only person I feel like who actually believes. Like I told my parents about like streaming this, that, and the other, and like the little bit that I get from if somebody donates or if I run an ad on the stream or something like that. How like the little bit that I get, I think they send like a small check out like every like 6 months. Of like I think the most I've ever
Hmm.
gotten is like $100 because I don't get that many people up in here. But my sister was one of the few people, one of the few and only people that was like, knowing your personality and how you work with people and how you talk to people and engage with people, I could potentially see you doing. And that's all like the boost I need. So regardless if anybody outside of her or my close circle or you or whoever, regardless of what anybody else is gonna say, I'm gonna continue to do this as long as I can make somebody smile or happy or whatever. That little bit is what pushed me
Yeah.
to want to do that.
I definitely feel that. I've talked to my parents about it in the past and stuff, and they've kind of had like that same outlook. But then, I had my brother, and he was like he's definitely like pushed me to do it. I mean, I had talked to him on the phone the other day, and he was like we were talking about jobs and everything, and he was like, bro, like that's what you want to do. Like you need to. No, I need to, but like he definitely supports and suggests that I pursue it, and because they know that it's something that you really enjoy and something that you have like a passion for,
Yeah.
and that's really what it's all about. Like if you have a passion for something, you gotta your dreams. You get that feeling in your gut, like you gotta go after it.
And that's why I had originally hit you up about it because even though I did, the guys I had started this podcast before had the same views as me. We could have potentially still be doing this. The only thing that came across it was that like we had different schedules. Like there was like nothing like no ill will or nothing like that. Like we all stream at
Right.
different times. We're all in different parts of the United States, and we can barely ever stream at the same time. But that's that's one of the reasons why I hit you up as well because I feel like you're a person who has a similar outlook on content creation as aside from my like some of my close friends who don't even live in this state, they live elsewhere in other states. uh
Right.
but I had hit you up because I feel like even who knows, this might be the only cast that we do. We could do some down the road, who knows, or we can never do another one again. But I like working with like-minded people who see the same vision as I see, like the potential that this could have.
Yeah,
Because who knows? It
yeah, I
might
definitely
never
agree.
ever happen. Who knows? It might never happen. This could fall short, and then I could like sell my PC, stop streaming, doing all of that a year from now. Who knows? But it's like you said, it's something that I have passion for. So whether I have 3 people in here, 2 people in here, 100 people in here, whoever, this is what I like doing. So
That's great, bro. You definitely have my support. You know I'm gonna be here. Uh, I myself, I'm just trying to figure out like what steps I want to take. Definitely would like to get back into streaming. We gotta figure out what games I'd want to play and all that. I mean, that's just subjective, really.
I don't know for real. Like honestly, whatever you feeling though, to go if you the one thing I will say the one takeaway I will say about like streaming and content creation, like on one hand, I don't want to say don't just like dive into it and do a whole bunch of stuff at one time, especially like
Right.
if you're not aware of certain things. But at the same time, if you have a hobby, I often spend my money on my hobby. Like a lot of people say, like I don't have like $1,000 gaming chair or nothing like that. This is just like a regular like $100 like $100 or $200 chair, something like that. Just a regular old chair.
Yeah.
But I've gotten people say, "Oh man, why would somebody spend $1,000 on a gaming chair?" And then in my head, I'm thinking, you're looking at it as $1,000 chair, which is $1,000 is a lot of money. But if your hobby or if your profession requires you to sit in that chair for eight to
Yeah,
12 hours,
yeah,
you're gonna
you wanna
want
make
the most
sure that's a quality chair,
exactly. You're gonna
without
want
a
something
doubt.
that's top of the line. So when people are like, "Oh man, your PC is $1,100, or your mic is $300, or man, you bought two $600 monitors," when I get off of work, from the time I get off work to the time I go to sleep, if I'm not out with some friends, I'm most likely sitting in this chair streaming. If I'm gonna be doing that for the remainder of my time in the day, or if I want to potentially do this as a means of income, then I'm gonna want the quality of the stuff that I'm using to be top notch, or at least like good for me to have like some kind of like durability and whatnot. So when I
Right.
saw that Secret Lab chair was like $1,000, I was like, dang, that's a lot of money. But then on the top of my head, I was like, you sit in this chair a lot, and I do be having to put pillows in this chair.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just like people that it's really just like what you're into. Like some people are really into shopping, right? So then, they'll go out and buy a bunch of, Jordans, or they'll go buy Gucci flip-flops or whatever they're into, right? Or, you have somebody that's really into sports, right? So they'll get season tickets for their local professional team. Like it just really goes into like what you're into. And
Yeah,
people think like there's no justification for you spending a bunch of money on a certain thing, but they don't understand that it's literally the same thing as anything else. If you want good furniture, let's say you hang out at your house a lot, you have a bunch of people over at your house. What are you gonna have at your house? I mean, you're gonna have some nice furniture in the house to accommodate the people. You don't want some flimsy furniture in your house for people to sit on. Uh, let's say if you're really into cooking, right? You're gonna have some good ingredients,
you're
right?
gonna
You're
have
not
good
gonna be
ingredients, and you're gonna
cooking
have good utensils and stuff that you prepare food with. You're not gonna use like
exactly right.
some raggedy pan or something like that to make food. If you love cooking and you know you spend most of your time in a kitchen, you're gonna want to make sure that the stuff that you're cooking with is good. So
Exactly.
so to the people who say that about like just like, and it's funny because that typically that conversation usually like goes either 2 ways. It either goes towards electronics or something with like fashion.
Right.
It's like that conversation
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
goes to those 2 routes because like a good majority of people are gonna want to spend a good amount of like money on tickets to see their favorite artist or go to a game or something
Yeah.
like that. But the second you thinking about like shoes on somebody's feet being $1,200, like man, $1,200 for just a pair of shoes. Well, in your eyes, it's just a pair of shoes. To that person, that's a fashion statement. That's a potential photo shoot they could get into. That could be a shoe they get signed by somebody, right?
Yeah,
And
no.
then the same thing with content creation. It's like, man, you spent $1,200 or $1,300 on your PC rig. Well, spend 8 to 12 hours on my PC, and I want my screens and stuff to look good. I want my computer to run good. Of course, I'm gonna spend money on it.
Yeah, like you don't if you're in the cars, you're gonna make sure your car is kept up with some quality materials. You're not gonna put some cheap oil, some cheap gas in the car.
Exactly.
Use cheap materials on the car, right? You're gonna have quality stuff, so it just goes hand in hand.
You gonna make sure everything is up to date with your car. Like if you're I think it's called a grease monkey is what they call like people who are
Yep.
into cars or whatever. They're gonna make sure like everything's up to date, fresh coat of paint every other half year or not half year, like every other year or whatever. If they need it or not, they're gonna have up to date tires, rims, muffler, everything. If they're into cars, they're gonna have it tuned up to the
They know,
T,
yeah, they know every bell and whistle when that car is clean
and they're
and
gonna dump thousands of
everything
dollars
about the
into
car.
it.
Yes.
And then you got a person on the other hand who will get another car just because the car's outdated or something like that, just for the fact of having it. Don't really care about the car, they'll just buy a new car or they'll drive a hoopty or whatever.
Right.
So
Yeah, you'll have a person that just wants a quality car that will last forever, opposed to having like, a nice car. So yeah, it just really just goes down to what the person values. But yeah, it's some people don't realize the overlap in that.
that being said, dog, I appreciate you for coming on. Hopefully we can make this a regular thing. If you're down for it, I'll be more than happy to have you as my co-host, man. Maybe in the future, if you are down, we can get somebody else on here too to chop it up. But if you want to play any games or anything like that, hit me in the Discord. Uh, I am probably gonna. Yeah. Let me know
Yeah,
if you're ever down for this again, dog. Again, I appreciate you, man. Hit me
yeah,
up.
definitely, man. I'm definitely down to run it more. Appreciate you having me on, and I mean, it was a great conversation. We talked about some really great stuff.
No problem. And
That
I
was
like,
great talking.
and for real, because first of all, I want to catch up with you anyway, because it's been a while since I had chopped it up with you to begin with. So hopefully you can be
True,
my,
true.
like I said, hopefully you can be my co-host, so we can just run this back every other week or every week or whenever is free. And hopefully we can get some people up on here, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. For sure, for sure.
And for the few people that did come up to the podcast, I appreciate y'all as well. Where can they find you, Mr. Hayes? You leave it down in the chat.
Oh,
You can plug in your
do I
socials. You can
have
plug in
any
your stream.
social? I'll plug.
You can plug in your
Yeah, I'll
Discord
plug
if you
my
want to.
channel. I just uh I just plug my channel because I know for my YouTube I was like revamping it. Some of my stuff is outdated, so I like took most of the videos off and everything. But yeah,
It
that's
is
pretty
all
much it.
good.
Yeah.
But Mr. Gingerbread Man is going to send you that way. You people that's there, go ahead and follow him. And actually, I have my shout outs on.
What is this channel trailer I have?
My channel trailers.
Yeah, it's like clicked on it. It's like this random guy I've never seen before. I'm gonna have to set one up or something.
I just do. Yeah, man. Go ahead and follow my man Hayes over there on his Twitch. He should have his stuff set up over there. But nonetheless, I appreciate y'all for stopping by, man. Y'all stay legendary, man.
Oh yeah.